Are you a female entrepreneur who feels stuck, overwhelmed, or unsure how to move forward? The Life Coaching for Business Builders program helps you harness your inner power, build your authentic platform, and chart a clear path to business success. You don't have to do this alone. Together, we'll create strategies, structure, and accountability to help you boss up in life and business. It's time to claim your power and make your business dreams a reality.
Hello, and welcome to Boss Business Strategies Podcast, where we go beyond success stories to uncover the strategies behind successful businesses. I'm your host, Dr. Marcea, and each week I sit down with an accomplished entrepreneur, executive, or industry leader who share the lessons, the leadership principles, and the practical strategies that help them build thriving businesses and meaningful legacies. Today's guest is someone who proves that great business is far more than the bottom line. Donté Cleaves is the owner and operator of four McDonald's restaurants in the greater Atlanta area and a respected community leader, scholarship sponsor, and life member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Guided by his faith, commitment to family, and passion for developing others, Donté has built a career centered on leadership, opportunity, and service. In today's conversation, we're talking about what it really takes to lead multiple businesses, build winning teams, create lasting community impact, and stay grounded while growing your success. So I want you to grab your notebook. I want you to lean in. I want you to get ready to take away practical strategies you can apply to your own business and your leadership journey. So, welcome to Boss Business Strategies Podcast. Let's get started. Hey, Donté, how are you?
Dr. Marcia, I am great. Listen, I need to take you everywhere because if I can get an intro like that, you can be a friend of mine. It's just it's so like I'm still in kid land just to hear someone speak of me and some of the things that I've done. So thank you so much for having me. I respect your platform and I'm very honored to be here.
You are so very welcome. You just tell me where I need to show up, and I will be there.
I will, trust me.
So I would the time will so we just met not too long ago.
Mhm.
You were one of the recipients at the Black Door Society Community of Excellence Awards,
Mhm.
and you spoke so eloquently. Your story is phenomenal. And so we were on the red carpet as I was kind of interviewing you before the event, and you took me back to first of all, congratulations on that award. But you took
Thank you.
me back to your McDonald's beginning.
Yep.
And you told the story on stage
Yep.
about your mom. And if you could just kind of share with us, I want to start there. Share with us
Okay.
that story.
Yeah, it is a story that, to be frank with you, I really just started telling this year um, via
Mm.
my intro to the world of social media. It's been pretty close to my heart, and it's twofold. It does speak a great deal about my mom, and it ends really with my wife. But to be quite fair, I have always wanted to become a McDonald's owner operator. I grew up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. If you know anything about Milwaukee, it is a very cold place. The weather is cold, the people are cold, it's just cold. Um, but during the summer times, it is a good time, and you try to immerse yourself in everything that you can while you've got the weather on your side. And when I was younger, I wanted to join a baseball team. The guy across the street, Jimmy, a little friend of mine, he was a part of the team, and he told me, "Hey, you should come join this team. It's a great team." Blah blah blah. I said, "Okay, great." After doing a little research, it cost $30 to join the team. I have to tell you, I did not come from very much money at all. My mother was at the time a maid at the Mark Plaza Hotel, which is now the Hilton in Milwaukee downtown, and she worked second shift. And so I was so excited. I was trying to wait up for my mom to get home so I can tell her, "Hey, mom, I want to join this baseball team. I need $30 and blah blah blah." And I fell asleep in the process of all of that. And when I awakened, my mother had arrived home. She was in her room. The door was closed, and I could hear her crying loudly. And so, as a child, I eavesdropped to the door, and she was, she is a prayer warrior, but I rarely heard her pray out loud, but she was crying out to God, and she had just received a paycheck of about $224 for 2 weeks of work, and she was telling God that this just could not be it. She could not take care of her responsibilities making that type of money, and she was asking him for another career path. And so, because I overheard the conversation, I clearly didn't ask for the money. And so I decided to take on the role of a paper route boy. And so every day, Monday through Saturday, I'd go to the paper route house. I get my little cadet bag. They load me up, and then I deliver to my route. And then on Sundays, if you know anything about newspapers, they get substantially larger. So it would be impossible for me to do the route without someone driving me. I asked my dad at the time, and he said no. And to be quite fair, we didn't have the best relationship. I don't really think he valued much of what I did or wanted to do. But my mom, seeing that and knowing that we did not have a strong relationship, would almost do anything for me. And she says, "I'll get up." So every Sunday we get up, 3:30 in the morning. We get to the paper route house about 4. They load us down, and then we do our route. And after the paper route was complete, we would go to this McDonald's on Fond du Lac in Milwaukee, North Side, and I would always get a cheese Danish and a box of chocolate chip cookies. And back then, they were like the rectangular box of chocolate chip cookies. And my mom would almost always get a small coffee with like 30 sugars. And I would tease her, like, "Man, why don't you just get a cup of sugar and a teaspoon of coffee?" And every now and then, she would get a breakfast sandwich, every now and then. And there was a manager there named Mrs. Cynthia who was very kind to us. Well, I did audition for that baseball team, and I had gotten a letter, and I wanted my mom to open it up. You know, when you're so excited, like you want someone else to tell you the results. And so I asked my mom to do it, and she hesitated, and then it really just said she couldn't. And with some emotions, I learned that day that my mom struggled with reading and writing. I learned that she did not have a high school diploma. I learned that she, um, for the most part, had been taken out of school around the fifth, sixth grade and forced to pick cotton and butter beans in the fields of Mississippi. And she was very emotional. And I couldn't believe it because I'm like, wait a minute, I love you. Like, I see you every day. How do I not know you can't read and write? And my mom, she had just gotten so good with muscle memory, with communicating without showing you those deficiencies. And so, we had a watershed moment there. But Mrs. Cynthia overheard this conversation, and she pulled me to the side and said, "Hey, on Thursdays, we have a literacy program. And if you want to bring your mother, we can camouflage it as we're teaching you, but simultaneously be teaching your mom so that she's not embarrassed by the moment." And so we did that. And we did that for a period of time. And I'll never
My
forget
God.
me saying to my mother, "I am going to own a McDonald's." Now, to be fair, as a child, I probably said that about a few things that I thought or was a magnanimous type, situation. I said that about that and Chuck E. Cheese, but I knew that McDonald's was something that was in my eye setting goals, right? Like I was locked in on it because it was something my mom and I shared. And my mom, in her kind of ghetto life fashion, would say, "And you can." I mean, I can say I want to jump off of it. "And you can." She's just very much that type of woman who she just feels like the sky's the limit. Now she'll tell you she don't know how it's going to happen. But she will also tell you if you just hold on to God's unchanging hand, it will. And so that's all we did. I mean, literally, I went through life and I said to myself, I don't know how it's going to happen. I researched some of the information. I couldn't find anybody who looked like me who was an owner operator of McDonald's. And all I saw was you need $1 million unencumbered, money. So I'm like, unencumbered, what does that mean? Well, $1 million that you're not using pretty much for this opportunity. I could barely count. We were tearing food stamps out of the paper ring, when the fives
Mhm.
were like a purple color and tens were like a brown.
Mhm.
That
Mhm.
was our situation. And so I went to my high school economics teacher because this was kind of, years of me trying to put this goal together. And eventually he just says, "Dante, we can't put a plan together. All I can tell you is you're going to have to become some type of entrepreneur to make this type of money if you want this type of opportunity." So to be fair, I kind of put it in the back of my head. Like I knew it was a goal, but I didn't really share it very much outside of my mother. Um, and so right before I was leaving for college, and I went to Fisk University for undergrad, a McDonald's commercial came on, and I was facing one direction, my mother was facing another direction, and I said to my mom, "Mom, hey, do you remember all those times, we went, you got your coffee and blah, 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 blah." I'm like, "You never wanted like a meal?" And she was like, not looking at me, not thinking, not feeling as though there was an issue. She says, "Yeah, Dante, I did, but all I could afford was your cheese Danish and your cookies."
Yeah.
I had never taken the time to consider the
Mhm.
sacrifices that were being made for me
Mhm.
to simply have a cheese Danish and cookies. You know, I never thought that my mother's skipped meal at McDonald's was because I got $224 for 2 weeks of work. And I just want to make sure you're able to get what you get. And so that was the pivotal moment for me. I said, come hell or high water, I am
Yeah.
going to make this happen. And then lo and behold, I go to college, I do all these things, and years, almost decades go past because again, the financial requirement was so large. And I ended up meeting a wonderful lady who's my wife today. And when I wanted to, we did childcare for about 17, 18 years, and I didn't have any money. I went to Fisk and Vanderbilt. I had a lot of ambition in academia, but I didn't have any money. She was a cosmetologist. And so she was getting money in hand every day. And I'm like, woo, okay. So I had to go to her for that initial dream of hey, just childcare and say, I know you've had poor relationships with guys in the past, but can you just give me some money? Because if you do, and trust me, I'm gonna run this business, I'm gonna bring back all these things. And fortunately she did that for me. And then
Wow.
McDonald's came about as we were successful in this thing. And I had purchased her a property in Nashville, in East Nashville, and it was booming. And all of a sudden, this McDonald's dream kept bothering me, but I didn't have the money that I needed.
Mhm.
And it had been lowered from 1 million to 500,000. And here I am having to go to my wife and say, "Hey, I know I just bought you this property because I wanted you to have something of your own, but can I have it so I can sell it to go into the McDonald's world?" And
Mhm.
thankfully, she said yes, but I still felt some type of way because I was thinking, gosh, here I am taking from other people so that I can fulfill this ambition of mine. And so the moral of that story is it started with my mom and the sacrifices that she made to just allow me to feel as though I could do something like this. And then it ended
Yeah.
with my wife actually putting the money toward it for me to do it. So
Wow. Okay. So the podcast is now over.
I'm
Okay.
sorry. I have such a hard time telling the story because it makes me so
No,
emotional. I'm so
no,
sorry. I like
no. What I'm saying is that you have pretty much you've walked through the story, which is phenomenal. I do have to say the only thing I know about Milwaukee is Laverne and Shirley.
uh,
Okay, but I do remember it was cold. All
yes, very
right,
cold.
a
Very
little
cold.
dreary.
Yeah.
But the story pieces, it's amazing. And I even um, for those who may be listening and not watching, I need to kind of put a pin on where you got emotional, right? Where it's still, even after all these years, it
Mm,
still is something that moves you. And not only does it move you, but it moves the people who you are sharing the story with. And it's even more than a story, it's your life, right?
mm,
And not only is it your life, but it is a what do you call it? It's like a pathway. It's something, it's hope for other people,
yeah.
and it's just amazing. So I want to just congratulate you on all those pieces, and I also want to recognize the folks in your life that trusted you,
Mm,
that were able to help. And even that moment when you told the story about helping your mom read, but I didn't realize of how you didn't mention from stage the person who the McDonald's manager, and that it was a literacy program, and it was
yeah.
kind of
Mm,
underhanded or
yeah.
disguised
Yeah.
as you getting literacy training, but it was actually for your mom. Amazing, amazing, amazing. So
Thank you.
what I want to do is I want to kind of pan out a little bit and just talk about McDonald's in
Sure.
general.
Mm,
We had a little mini interview before the interview. We established that I'm a decade older than you. But for me to
look,
say that, what I mean is that
amazing. Gosh. Okay.
what I'm,
Okay. Like fountain of youth. Where is it?
thank you.
Like,
Thank you.
goodness
Thank
sake.
you. I appreciate it. I appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
Right. But the thing is that when I was coming through for our generation, McDonald's was the place, right?
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
wanted to go to McDonald's. You would go by, you would see those golden arches. You would say, Mom or Dad, usually the mom, can I stop? Can we stop at McDonald's? And the answer would be, no, we have food at home.
Yes, no, you're right.
No,
You're right.
until you got to the place where I remember in high school we would go to McDonald's all the time. My order was a Big Mac with a large fry and a hot fudge sundae with nuts. I'm still mad that y'all took the nuts
Put the nuts away.
out.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's a sidebar. Sidebar. Okay. But I want you to talk about how McDonald's tell us about the organization in general and what impact McDonald's has had on your life, not only financially, but in the other realms.
You know, McDonald's, in my opinion, is the best QSR, quick service restaurant brand in the world. Everyone, other than the cross of Jesus, you know, when you see those arches, exactly what it is, right? It's just symbolic, and oftentimes it's nostalgic. You know, as you
Mhm.
say, McDonald's for many of our black and brown families was a treat. When you went there,
Yes.
you knew that something special was happening. When you got a Happy Meal as a child, it really brought joy to your
It
life. I
did.
think for me, I wanted to be a part of anything that created such impact on people. I can remember how I felt going to McDonald's as a child, even at 46 years old today. One of the special things that I love about our brand is it's all encompassing. Like, you know, some people like you and I wouldn't have this opportunity on such a grand scale if you did not have a corporation who recognized the power in black and brown people. Um,
Mhm.
and that and I always say when we get involved, we win. I mean, it just it's the truth, and I appreciate that McDonald's wasn't afraid to recognize that black and brown people, especially black and brown people with great business acumen and who puts customer service first, are the type of people that should be leading this brand. And I'm just so
Mhm.
thankful that they entrusted me to be a part of this lineage of success. Being a part of McDonald's, in addition to me being able to take care of my family in a great way, you know, leave a legacy, I am highly interested and so are my sons in becoming a part of the Next Gen program. Um,
Mhm.
and I think that's amazing. But in addition to being able to take care of my family in an economically substantial way, which I never was able to do in this type way, is paramount to almost anything else other than the community impact that it allows me to have as well. Because of the arches, when I move through the communities and lead with the arches, people stop. They listen to what you have to say.
Mhm.
McDonald's gives you the power, the platform to reach people that you wouldn't ordinarily reach in other career fields because of those recognized arches. And I am just so thankful for it. I'm thankful to have a brand who not only understands that I am in business for myself, but
Mhm.
I'm not in business by myself. And I think
Mhm.
that is
That's
just
good.
so very important. You know, a lot, and I've researched other brands, researched other opportunities, and you pay your money and you go through a couple week training process, and then you got the keys and you move on. I have had my hand held since the
Mhm.
first day of training
Wow.
by amazing people, starting with a black woman named Miss Paula Collick. And I have to tell you, when I was in Nashville, which is where I trained under an operator who, in my opinion, did not care very much for my kind. And
Mhm.
the Lord provided me this black woman who came in and single handedly gave me everything that I needed to move forward in this process, even down to writing a detailed 2-page letter to corporate saying, in all of my 45 years of being in this position, I vouch for this person based on all of these tenets that she was able to describe. And she gave McDonald's such a dissertation of sorts of all of the things that I contributed to the brand, but more importantly, who I am as a person. She married
Mhm.
the two. And McDonald's, after reading her
Mhm.
dissertation of sorts of my progress, within a week's time, I had already been pushed to my final interview to start detailing where I would go. You know, where can you receive those things? You know, that's what's special
Right.
about McDonald's. Once they recognize talent, they do all they can to cultivate that talent, and they don't just let you go by yourself. They literally hold your hand every step of the way because they want you to be successful, and that's where I want to be.
I love it. What a powerful story. And I want to dispel the belief that all you had to do was show up with $500,000 and they gave you the keys, right? So we talked about how, on the personal side, how you got there.
Okay,
But I want to know what happened. What was the process on the
sure.
McDonald's side? How did you actually get in the door?
Sure. So there is a multi-step process. The first step is filling out an initial inquiry. What that inquiry says is, "Hey, I'm Donté Cleaves. I'm interested in being an owner operator of McDonald's. I've got some money to invest, and here are the territories that I'm willing to, for the most part, relocate to if given the opportunity." Once you fill out that one pager, someone looks at that and says, "Okay, you so far align with what we're looking for. Now we're going to avail to you the entire application." That the entire application is a more detailed questioning of your finances, what you've done within your recent and past career paths. It asks about 8 different essay questions because they also want to make sure. What I love about McDonald's is just because you have money, that doesn't give you the pretty much the clearance to become an owner. No, they also want to make sure you're passionate about customer service and that you're passionate about serving people and serving people who don't look like you, which I think is very important. And so that's the second part. After you finish that, then you have a 1 hour 1 hour phone interview. And for me, it was with a guy named Eddie Dontè out of Pennsylvania, and he asked you a litany of questions. And those questions are pretty much making sure that what you're saying verbally aligns with what you put on that paper. Because I think people, it's like a resume. You kind of give your absolute best, and then you start conversing with people, and you're like, that ain't quite what I read, right? And so after that, and when I say after that, it's always a 4 to 8 week time frame to where McDonald's says we will get back to you. Fortunately for me, those time frames were cut very. I think once they start hearing what they need to hear, I think they move much faster. So it would be a week for me, and then after that, you take a personalities test, and that pretty much is you answering 100 questions, sometimes in riddle form, making sure that you understand the how precious it is to serve people, and that you can't really get past that because you don't know what they're looking for. But that test creates this results of sorts that they only send to McDonald's. They don't share the results with you.
Mm.
Once that happens, McDonald's comes back and says, "All right, now we need to check out your credit." For people who are interested in this opportunity, they are looking for those with a credit score above a 700. I'm kind of anal about credit, so I think I'm perfect at 850. It's hard for me to get out of bed when I hit 840. But my friends be like, "Dante, get up." So after you pass the credit part of things, if you're married, they come back and say, "Okay, now we need to pull your spouse's credit." And I'm like, "Whoa, I didn't know that part." But fortunately for us, she also had great credit as well. And then once you pass that stage, they connect you with about 8 different accounting companies that are okayed by McDonald's. And you choose one of them, and that company or that accounting firm will comb through your finances to make sure, number one, you've got money, to make sure that the money is legit, and to make sure it adds up. So now they're going to get into the weeds of your tax returns, things of that nature, before they just kind of say, "Yeah, we're going to move with you." If you can get past that, you will then get to the last stage of this first application process. And that is a 4 to 5 person panel. And they pull owner operators from throughout the country and some corporate people to verify some of the things that you said very early on. And so you have to make sure, I always tell people, go in authentically you, because you will be asked something, whereas if it's not authentically you, it will create a situation that dismisses you or disqualifies
Mhm.
you from moving
Mhm.
forward, because it then becomes about integrity and the lack thereof. So if you can get past all of that and they give their stamp of approval, then they start to find owner operators in the areas that you live for you to train. The training process is twofold. You either choose 20 hours a week, so a part-time training bid, or you choose a 40-hour a week full-time training bid. Now, what does that mean? That means if I am choosing 20 hours, okay, McDonald's recognizes I'm still working. I am not going to be able to give this every day, all day, because I still need to sustain, take care of my family, X, Y, and Z, my responsibilities. And it may take you longer to finish the process. So sometimes it may take you 12 to 18 months to kind of to do that. I chose the 40-hour a week round because I'm impatient and I want to get on with life and I needed money. Keeping in mind that you don't get paid for training. Once you enter the training process or program, it is free. All of your hours that you dedicate to McDonald's and somebody else's McDonald's are free hours that you're giving. And so that's another piece of investing that you have to understand. So you need to be very meticulous about which program you want to join based on your financial needs. And so I chose the more aggressive program. I finished my program in 6 months, 17 days, and a few hours. Uh,
Who's
but
counting? Who's counting?
yeah, I was in the restaurants probably 90 hours a week because I was just so excited to be there. And I wanted to learn every single thing. I think day one, you start with fries and you work your way to every station in the restaurant before you even get into a shift manager's role or a swing manager's role or a general manager's role. They want to make sure that you are knowledgeable and that you're competent. And all of these things before you move on to back office, which is more of the accounting, understanding P&L. So I always tell people profit and loss statements for those who don't know what those initials stand for. And then, of course, the financial, the leverage ratios and things that you need to understand that pertain to accounting and making sure that when you get in, you know how to keep your business afloat. And so those are things that people like Paula Collick, my franchise business partner at the time, will kind of stay abreast of. And she or whoever you're assigned to literally guides you every step of the way. After that, before you kind of get to your final interview with corporate, you have to attend Hamburger University. Hamburger University is located in Chicago. It's literally people will be like Hamburger University. Yes, it is like a university, and you better go there or you're not going to make it. And literally at the end of your process, you go there for about a week, and there are educators there, and they have given you throughout this time frame about 30 boxes, and I think it's been extended now to upwards of 60 boxes. And they start with red to yellow to green. So everyone starts on red. And then as you become more competent in something, the people like Paula Collick, franchise business partners, they come in and say, okay, Donté knows this. So I'm willing to turn this from red to green, or I'm willing to go from red to yellow and say he needs a little bit more work in this. But you will not get through Hamburger University if all of those boxes are not green, signifying that corporate or the powers that be feels as though if we let you go today, you are ready. All right, now I have gone through Hamburger University. All of my boxes are green. McDonald's and the powers that be says, Donté, we think you're ready. Now you've got this major, major interview with people like Brad Bogan, who is over franchising, and the people he chooses to bring in, like Ashley Nelson and some other people who are just phenomenal in making sure that you are ready for this opportunity. And you have about an hour-long corporate interview where they are throwing you question after question after question, things that you cannot prepare for to make sure that you are indeed prepared. And if you can pass that, they will congratulate you with you are now in the qualified to buy stage. Now, what is the qualified to buy stage? The qualified to buy stage is I can now start looking at deals. Remember, going back to that initial inquiry, you put down what territories you would be interested in if you were granted the opportunity. So now they have combed through the country and they now have your finances and they know what you can afford, and they are going to submit to you a deal one at a time to see if this is something you would entertain. And if it's something you would entertain, then the process starts all over with your accountant making sure that it works for them, showing you how you can profit from it, showing you the growth patterns. And that's how it all worked. Now, I wanted to stay in Nashville
Oof.
because that's where I was, right? And,
Mhm.
my family was there and all that. But Nashville did not have an opportunity for me.
Mm.
Atlanta had several stores that were available. And here's the kicker. And also, I really love McDonald's. I didn't get into this brand to just be a one, two store operator. No, I have ambition and goals of being 30, 40 store operators because
Wow.
number one, I really want to go back to my hood in Milwaukee. And I want to continuously prove that not only did I do it, but I did it in a grand way. I want
Hmm.
to make sure that when it's time for my children to jump into the next gen program and I'm going to offload restaurants to them, I still want to be able to do that. And my wife and I still ride into the sunset with all that we've got going on. Like I want to make sure that kids everywhere understand that this is such an opportunity and the sky really is limit, and I want to feel that way. So I'm still in my stage of finding my way through that process. But what I love about McDonald's is they presented Atlanta to me not just with this is the need that we want to feel, but this is also where you can grow as it pertains to your goals of owning multiple restaurants in this
Hmm.
area. And I
Hmm.
really appreciated that because it said that they had been listening to me.
Listening, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were just checking off boxes. They were listening to me, and that's important. So that's the process for the most part.
Yes. Wow. 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 Right. So there was multi steps, there were multiple challenges, and you kept saying if, right?
Hmm.
So you were able to get through. Some folks didn't make it, but I
Yes.
want you to, if you could kind of give us all of that boiled down in one or two sentences that business owners or aspiring business owners can apply to their own business journey.
Hmm. All of that boiled down to how you can get it out to your own business journey. I always, in a simple type way, it really boils down to understanding that nothing beats a failure but a try. I
Mm,
just think at the end of the day, there are a few things that you got to understand. Number one, nothing beats a failure but a try. You just never know what can happen if you just try. Number two,
yeah.
I think you have to understand that every room you walk in, you should know that that room has become more valuable with you in it.
Mm,
Right? Number three, I think you should understand that when you're involved, everyone wins. I think if you
mhm,
keep that in the forefront of your mind, regardless of what business that you're trying to do, whether it's McDonald's or anything else, you will always somehow get to that progression. That if will always get to the next stage.
mhm,
So for McDonald's, I led with all of those three tenants, and um, and because I led with those three tenants, I kind of expected a miracle at every stage. I
mhm,
expect
mhm.
like I went to every progression thinking, Lord, don't leave me, don't don't let me go, because I'm just that young black boy with a little of nothing, trying to make a dollar out of 15 cents and trying to show my mom that I can do this. So if I was to boil all of that down, it would just really be understand who you are, understand your finances, understand if you're willing to take a risk on you, and go in with the mindset of nothing beats a failure but a try, and I can.
You can. Love it. Love it. And you just helped me teach something that I have been demonstrating the last couple of days. I just finished up a boot camp.
Mm.
And what I do is I help folks turn their pain into a platform that pays them. Okay. And part of it, we start with their story. And I always say, this isn't about just finding something that's going to pay you, right? That you're going to make money. But whatever it is you're doing has to be tied to something that grabs you here.
Yeah, yeah,
And that is your story, right? You just said it. You're
yeah.
just a kid from, Milwaukee, and you're just trying to make a dollar out of 15 cents.
Mhm.
And so at each moment, you're like, you know what? I still remember who I am. And
Yeah,
this is important to me. So I'm going to keep going no matter how many times they dig through my finances, no matter
yeah,
how many times, how long you had to stay in that corporate office, those 9 hours you were telling me earlier. in order for someone to get back to you,
Yes.
right? It was something that you kept going even when it was hard.
Yes.
And I
Mhm.
love that. So through all your hard work, I know currently I know you're trying to get to 30, but right now you have 4 stores, correct?
I
You have
do.
four restaurants.
Hmm.
Tell me, one, how does that feel?
Ooh.
And yeah, let's start there. Go ahead. How's it?
Yeah, it's still surreal. I'm telling you, I was asking my wife the other day. I had, I, I hope the world don't get me. I says, "Are we kind of rich?" And she was like, "Yeah." And I was like, do we? When you're in business, your head is down and you're doing the work and all these things. But I don't know why I had a moment where I was thinking about our levels, our reach, and I just became thankful because a quick little story. I did 1,000 Happy Meal give my first year for kids going back to school. We gave 1,000 Happy Meals to children free of charge. I am doing that again in 2 weeks. And my mother came to the restaurant. We did a big deal. We had music, and it was just an amazing time. And my mother was at the register looking at the menu, and she had dollars in her hand. It's just a few years ago. She had dollars in her hand, and I'm looking at her, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" And
Right.
she's like, "Donté, I'm just trying to figure out if I'm gonna get me a single fish or a double fish." And my employees were looking at her like, "Is she serious?" And I'm like, "Well, Mom, what's the determining factor here?" And she was like, "Well, I'm just trying to see how much it costs." And I said, "Mom, I own this thing." And she looked, and she was like, "You're right. You rich, bitch." And I was like, "Oh my God." So it was just such a moment. It was just such a moment. But in going back to the question, it's times like that where you're like, I went from literally, again, tearing food stamps out of a paper ring to coming into the system, purchasing my first 3 restaurants, on the anniversary date, purchasing my fourth restaurant. And to be frank with you, since then, I have looked at packages, whereas I could have purchased 8 more. I just chose not to for various reasons. Either the price point wasn't good or the communities were not where I thought I could make the biggest difference. But I appreciate that I have the opportunity to still get more, and I'm already blessed, right?
Yeah.
So that for me, yes, I have 4, but I can tell you right now, and I hope that you and I do, and I hope you invite me again years from now where I can come on and say, "You remember when I had 4? Now I've got 10, or now I've got 15." But I know it's possible because of how McDonald's has curated my time here
Hmm.
in Atlanta with the restaurants that I have. So
I
yeah,
love it. I love it. So you mentioned about you and your wife talking about being rich. But I want to ask you this question. I ask this question to all of my guests,
sure.
and it's about the $1 million moment, and not the moment that you made $1 million,
Sure.
but the mindset behind that moment.
Yeah. You know, I will say that it is very rare that you get into this brand being poor. And when I say that, what I mean is not financially not having what you need to get into the brand. And let me add a little clarity because I don't want people to be confused and think, "Oh, well, this $500,000." No, the purpose of those dollars, when we come into this business, banks are requiring you to invest 20 to 25% of the overall deal for them to finance the 75% of the deal, if that makes. So if you got a
Hmm.
dollar, the bank is saying if you come up with a quarter of the dollar, we'll finance the 75 cents. And that's what allows us to get in.
Hmm.
So we've got mortgages and all of those things. And that's how that works. And if you can look at it in terms like this, if I've got $100,000, I probably will not get the restaurant in Times Square, New York, right? You may get one that needs a little help. That's maybe in Mobile,
Hmm.
Alabama.
Hmm.
If I've got millions of dollars, I'm now in the running to get the restaurants that are high volume, that are well established, that cost more in certain markets that are more expensive, such as where you live in the
Hmm.
DMV area. Those
Right.
restaurants are very expensive, right? So going back to your question, the moment for us, we knew as it pertained to our finances and our assets that we had surpassed the $1 million mark. We knew that. But
Hmm.
what I will tell you that was more important, and I think rang out more with us, is when we understood that we were more rich, we were more wealthy with our reach and our resource and our impact. I became wealthier with my belief in God. I became
Mm,
wealthier with my relationships with my friends and my environment
mhm,
and my
mhm,
communities of people who want to support me. I became wealthier to those who are voiceless and sometimes
mhm,
hopeless and have no clue of where to start. That was really the aha moment of true wealth, the true millionaire
mhm,
mentality. The money was there, the assets are there, but if you never share it, if you never teach people how to get to it, if you don't go out there and encourage and inspire people to just try, because this is something that's attainable, that you can do, in my opinion, you're poor.
mhm.
So that for us was the millionaire aha moment.
I love it. I love it. And I wanted to share when you sent me your bio,
Yeah,
all right? And I see lots of bios and I rewrite lots of bios. And one of the things that was very telling to me is that your bio didn't start off talking about you are a member of Alpha Phi Alpha, right? It didn't start off talking about you are a owner operator of 4 McDonald's. It didn't, give me some of the other things, accolades. The way that it started was that you are a proud husband
yeah.
and father.
Hmm.
And that tells the story of who you are and your faith in God and how you have moved through this. Would you agree to that?
Absolutely. Listen, I have met many people like yourself. I have, from the folks in my family that, like I said, are rubbing nickels together, to the Oprah Winfrey type circles of the world. And I have learned a couple things. One being that everyone just wants to feel a sense of welcome and
Mhm,
understanding and compassion. People want to be celebrated, they want to feel cared for in a greater way.
mhm,
Secondly, that love has to be the nucleus of who you are, which propels you to do what you do. If you don't have those things, yeah, like yourself, I have read, and I have seen so many examples of people leading with all of these grand things, and then you meet them and they're empty. They don't have
mhm,
tribute to you. They don't have a relationship with God. They don't treat people well. They are very self-serving. Everything they do, it's about how they can matriculate through life. And for me, I have never done something on my own. I have always had, um, I have always been given wings by my mom, my wife, my children, my friends, my pastor, people who just say, "Hey, brother, go out there and do it. Like, I'm with you." I have never been able to accomplish something and only give myself the credit. And I hope and I pray to God that He allows that mentality to stay with me, because if I don't, I'll be doing a disservice to myself, but more so my mother, who started this path, more so my wife, who is helping me grow in this path, and probably particularly um, my children, who are looking at me every day, expecting me to make decisions that are not only befitting for our family, but befitting for others. I'm always teaching my kids to have a little compassion, leave a little room to understand that everyone doesn't think like you, they won't act like you, but it shouldn't take away the value within each person that you can learn from, you can extract things from, so that you can be a better person. So yeah, yeah, that's really how it breaks down. You got to have some sense of altruism. If you don't, this brand and no other brand, in my opinion, that is centered around customer service, is going to allow you to thrive.
yeah. So good, so good. Donté, thank you so much for sitting down with me. This has
Oh,
been an amazing interview. I mean, we could probably continue to talk for another, a couple of hours. It's
no.
just such goodness. I see your heart. I wanted you to shout out your wife. I need you to say her name.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Her name is Kiana Michelle Cleaves.
Yes,
Kiana
Michelle.
Michelle Cleaves, and she is she is not only an amazing wife, she is an amazing friend. And let me say, this McDonald's world, you got to have a tough skin. I mean, we are attacked every day for all types of things, and sometimes it goes beyond the brand, attacking the brand and attacking you personally, right? And I
Mm,
will tell you, there have been many watershed moments in my life, even working as an owner operator, where I've come home. Not some months ago, I was in the shower and I was crying my eyes out, and just crying my eyes out over just wanting to win and wanting to do something. And to be frank with you, I wasn't getting my way, and I was like, "Look, Lord, what's up?" And that day, she opened the shower for some reason and was like, "Are you?" To find me crying, I was sobbing my eyes out, but I was too prideful to share what
mm,
I was going through mentally. And I'm
mm.
just so thankful that I had someone who gave me room to just have a moment, who didn't judge me, someone who believes in me, someone who every single day, even if it's just hand on my back, telling me it is okay. Go, move through the world and do what you do, and do it with everything that you bring to being Dante. So Kiana Michelle Cleaves, I am very proud of her, and I'm thankful that she's proud of me.
Oh, so good. So good. Donté, thank you again. I want you to sit tight for 1 second. I want to close out this show. I am Dr. Marcia, and I'm your life and business architect. And here on Boss Business Strategies, I bring you the best. I bring you those entrepreneurs who are millionaires, who are laying down the kind of giving us the tips on how we also can get to that business success. I want you to follow me here at Boss Business Strategies. You can also contact me on my website at drmarcia.com. Follow me on social media. Make sure you like and subscribe and all of the things and share. Stay tuned. We are here every month on the first Friday of the month. And so we look forward to seeing you at our next episode. Again, Dr. Marcia, take care. Bye bye.